I want to show you today our AC36 electric edger. I want to show you the features about it that make it a very nice edger and one of the top of the line edgers on the market today. First of all, you got a glimpse of how this saw blade's moved in and out. And of course, everybody knows that an edger cuts two edges off of boards that have edges that need to be trimmed. And on this particular saw, we have split saw blades. They are carbide tipped and they're easy to change. There's two parts to each saw, two bolts, and one half of the blade comes out, two bolts, the other half comes out. So it's real easy to change your blades, and the carbide tips will just stay sharp for sometimes for months. But at least they stay sharper than just your standard teeth do, probably 7 to 8 times longer. On this edger, this saw blade, as you saw in a quick clip there, moves in and out very smoothly. We use dual chains, and then we have this saw blade connected to a bearing, and so there's no the old-timey edgers had wood blocks in there that guided the saw back and forth. There was a lot of slop in there. There was a lot of inaccuracies in there. This edger has no inaccuracies in it. There's no extra slop in there of any kind. It is a precise movement. If I set the marker on 6 inches, I can expect my board to be on 6 inches. If I set it on 7.5, I can expect it to be 7.5. And one of the features that we really like about utilizing an edger and cutting rough wood is that you can cut 2x material as wide as you want it, stack it and let it dry, then come back to this edger, set it on 5.5 inches, and then you can cut a store-bought width of a 2x6 or a 2x8 or a 2x10, and you've got accurate dimensions and you've got real thick lumber. So you don't need, it kind of eliminates the need for a planer for those of you who are out there sawing and building houses and those kind of things, or building products with your own wood. This particular edger, and all the edgers that we build, have a wide belt in feed and a wide belt out feed. What's so important about that is that if this belt is going truly accurately straight in and this belt is truly accurately going straight out, you get perfectly straight lumber. It's like a straight line rip. So you can take a crooked piece of wood, line it up, and cut a straight piece out of it. And that's what's really good about a good edger. The old-timey edgers from some time back, those edgers would cut crooked lumber left, crooked lumber right. These edgers don't. These edgers cut straight lumber every time. We have a weighted wheel that holds it down on the belt so that it feeds right on through. This particular edger will cut up to 4 inches thick, and so for those of you who are making pallets on production, you can run the heavier pieces through. I'm going to move to the front end of this and show you some of the features that are really nice. On the top side, we have a sight bar. This sight bar lines up straight in line with the first saw. I should have explained that the first saw is a fixed saw. It's on the left-hand side, and then we can saw anything over to as far as 6 inches to the left of the first saw. The right-hand saw will move in and out so that we can get our dimensions. And one of the things that I should tell you is how close in that it will come in and go. Of course, it comes in very close, and according to my marker, that would be 1.5 inches that it comes into, and that is correct. Actually, 1 3/4 between the saws is what it'll come into, and that's what my marker is saying. And then it will go out to about 20.5 inches between the saw blades. We have an opening in here that actually is much wider. The opening is somewhere a little beyond 36 inches. That doesn't mean it'll cut a 36-inch board, but it'll cut 20 inches between the saw blades, and it'll cut 6 inches to the right, and it'll cut 6 inches to the left. I should have said left then right. Now, a next feature is you can see this guide bar, and we might have to stop the camera and get a better angle. This moves absolutely parallel to that first saw. So if I, on a bandsaw mill, 75% of what we saw has a relative straight edge. I want to see if I can show you a board with what I call a relative straight edge. Get this where it can be seen. This has an edge that needs to be trimmed off, but it's got a relative straight edge. You can see it's got a partial sawn edge. So I can put this board up and I can say, you know what, I want to take 1.5 inches off of that. I can set this gauge to 1.5 inches, put this up, and I go, wow, that board has got, I'm guess and say, well, there's 6 inches in there. I can set my other saw on 6 inches. When I send this board through, I'm going to cut 1.5 inches off of this edge, and I'll have a 6-inch board left over right down the center. So this fence helps us with 75% of our boards, strictly because I can put my edge up against it and set it wherever it needs to be, set my other saw blade, and I get a very accurate board going through. It's a very simple edger. There's not much to go wrong with them. We do run hydraulics. There's a hydraulic pump coming off the 20 horsepower electric motor. You have your speed control up in the front, and I can speed that belt up and slow it down. And it's just a very consistent, accurate edger to use. We'll move now to the back side and then show you our transfer deck that will take the lumber and transfer it off. We won't have a return belt on this one to show you, but you can only imagine if you had a return belt when we get over there and see that.